Hey, recording has started. It is September 16th, 2020. Welcome aboard.
Heat Zone.
Lots to do. Lots to do. Um, a really good day today. I have some, I guess I have some advice. When and it doesn't always work, and I'm not saying that this is the way it is, or and if you know me with my trading, and in general, I'm not exactly Mr. Positivity. I do keep a very upbeat attitude towards my trading, but in general, I'm not a real believer of things. I don't necessarily have any real mantras or anything like that. But when I get down in my trading, which I very much was yesterday, I do take some time to for self-care. And and that comes with all sorts of things with regard to, I like to clean up my workspace, clean my car, get to bed early, clean my bathroom mirror, clean my desk, and try and because your head is as clear as your surroundings sometime, and mine had become very messy dicking around with technology guys and stuff like that. And after yesterday, which I would absolutely, excuse me, GM, which was a mess for my trading, I needed to take some time and reflect. I could hardly breathe after yesterday. I could hardly even breathe. And so, if you're struggling with your trading, and I've had this advice before, or even with your work and things like that in your life, take some time to clean up your workspace, clean off your desk, clean off your desktop, and think about some things you can do to get a clear mind. Because with all these tickers flying around and all this insanity going on, and it can really become overwhelming, and you can lose the plot. So that's my advice. I always find, and maybe it's different for you, but if you are struggling a bit with your trading, why don't you take a moment to organize your life? And it sounds silly, and then you'll do it. It's like how your car always feels faster after you wash it. Take some time and get organized and straighten up your surroundings, and you might find that your ability to think and reason is suddenly much clearer. And today I felt much clearer about my path and my plan. We have to talk through a few trades. Obviously, the big news of the day was ENZC. And ENZC has kind of a not the best past, I'm going to be honest with you. And I'll give you some details on this. So ENZC is a stock that actually during COVID, at the start of COVID, was basically the first COVID pump, the very first. This was the one back here. No, it wasn't here. Where was it? Here. This was one of the first COVID pumps where these people. Was it in January? I feel like that's early. No, it would have been. Yeah, it was in January, and it was when the virus was. Gosh darn it. Let me put it on the daily. Can I see today? God bless me. When can I wonder? July? Yeah, I guess it was in January when the virus was first kind of coming out. And they were talking about it, and it wasn't that serious of a thing at the time. Yeah, leading into February, and it was a COVID pump back then, and ENZC, because they do actually they were doing viral things with regard to coronaviruses. People were doing Boolean searches on coronaviruses, and they were finding information about ENZC, and we're deciding to do a pump on it. And they put out something about how there was going to be that it was fake news. Someone put out fake news on it, so I had my fake news hat alert on today. And then in April, they put forward a news about their plans. And during that time, ENZC was diluting a fair amount. They sold into these COVID pumps. Well, that's the next point I want to make, Stock Addict. They sold into these COVID pumps and actually grew their float considerably, 300-400 million, which isn't a lot when you consider these things. So that's a little bit of the background on ENZC, and that's also a little bit of the background as to why you see there's shots of volume here and there, because it's gotten periodic COVID pumps. It also got this news in April about them going current, and people have been trying to anticipate it. A little bit of volume yesterday, which is a little bit suspicious, if I'm being honest with you, which had me on watch for whether the news was fake or not. But at the end of the day, this news here is something that, unfortunately, I have to try. I mean, it is in the wheelhouse of what ENZC does. But why did I like the news? Well, listen, I get...
Hey, is it real?
I get a lot of questions about, this news, and I got,
Hey, is it real?
Wow. The problem with a situation like this, especially with this news coming out,
hey, is it real?
You know what? Pre-market is I'm not going to get a chance to email the CEO and find out if it's real. I'm not going to get a chance to confirm. We talk about news wires. What's the real wire? What's the fake wire? Well, listen, this news on ENZC, it came out on the shit wire. Right? This is official OTC news disclosures that OTC Markets vets to be from the company up top. And then there's news that comes out on things like Access Wire and things like that, where someone could pay the company or just pay Access Wire and say, yo, I'm ENZC, put out this news, and it could be fake news. So that risk is there, absolutely. And I don't have the time pre-market to do it, to find out. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do going into today with this news coming out and bag holders that are there's bag holders and also people been loading it? What am I going to do to see if I can get a safe entry in the case of ENZC? And that's exactly what I chose to do today. I said, I don't know if this news is real. I don't know. Excuse me. What is that? I don't know what's going to happen. But what I could do is see if I could get an entry in a place where I know I could survive. They haven't had a filing in a long time. They haven't had news since April. But I saw in July they were able to hit 11-ish. So I said, you know what, 11? If I could get 11, then I'd be happy with it. And I was able to do so. And, the truth of the matter is I might have upped it to 12, but thankfully I got 11. And if I did not get 11 or 12, I would not have chased it. Truth be told. I wouldn't have done it because at any point, like if someone came out or the CEO came out and said, yo, this is fake news, this is BS, and he said,
hey, is it real?
Please. Where's a place that I know I could at least escape? And so the risk factor was there, in terms of the news being real, in terms of the fact that it is fat, in terms of all sorts of things. what can I do to mitigate the damage? And that's exactly what I chose to do. I drew a line at 11, the top wick of basically the last few moves, a place that I knew I could survive, and I decided to take it. And thankfully, I was able to get it. From there, it was a trade on the 5, obviously. A lot of discussion, and, you know, I've been working on ways to get to a place, because people are saying, you know what, this 5 is really moving. You know, this 5 made a big move, and now it's still moving, but the 5 is crossed down and it hasn't crossed up. Why is that? Well, here's the deal. You have a move from, you know, trip 8 to 25 that has been measured on this line, right? And then you have a move from, you know, 25 to 34, and it's being measured on the same line, right? So one line is trying to measure an exponential move and an incremental move all on one line. And given that, if you wonder why the KST breaks and doesn't continue, even though it seems to be continuing, the reason is that you're putting a move of many multiples on the same line of something that's suddenly begun to move incrementally. So with that, I've been working on some different ways. I know that our friend Arthur Fuchsake, which is a real name, has been working with moving averages and exponential moving averages and things like that. What I've found to have reasonable amount of success is to use support and resistance in this case. So, you know, I see that ENZC created a resistance here at 24, an intraday resistance, and then it rebroke that resistance about a half hour later. And so even though that 5 is broken, I'm aware of the fact that it's made an exponential move leading up to this moment. And chances are any further moves, especially on that share structure, are going to be incremental moving forward. Therefore, I'm going to take it at the resistance rebreak, use this as my line to determine whether or not I'm going to hold it and wait for the 5 to reset, or let it go when it falls through that line. And I've been experimenting with using a resistance and support line to help deal with a broken 5 that continues, because of the fact that some of the things that we trade are so hyper volatile, off the floor, that this one line can't possibly begin to measure it. And I could get into finding more lines and things like that, but when's the right time? When's not the right time? And so I've been experimenting with this rebreak after an exponential move, and then using that as my decision as to when a 5 is really broken. And I've been having some success with it. So that's what I do with intraday trades on the 5. I draw the line. Even if the 5's broken, if it rebreaks that resistance on the broken 5, I'll take it back. And then hold it until such time as it falls through. And if I see candle body falling through, 1, 2 candle bodies falling through, I will consider it then a broken 5. And it's the way I've been able to manage these situations without getting shook out, and while understanding why it is that this line would show broken while it's still moving, right? Because the multiples in trips versus the multiples in dubs, in dub 2, dub 3, you know, it's just shrinking and shrinking. Each tick is worth less and less. So how could it possibly measure it at the same rate? Now, there's always questions about, will it need a reverse split? Will it want a reverse split? And what I would tell you is this: the more real a company, the more probable a reverse split. Okay? And in the case of Bioclinetics, you know, this isn't You know,
Oh my God, who coded this?
you know, it's a good it's a
Oh my
good
God, who coded this?
it's a good website. um, we can see that they've been trying to raise capital for quite some time, and they've actually raised capital, and they have a convertible debt with a maturity date of late November 2020. And you know, what does that maturity date ultimately mean? Well, the maturity date in this case is if you hold it till the maturity date, and then you either get that money back plus interest or convert it to common stock and dump it. And you know, a lot of companies, the more real it is, the higher the chance of a reverse split. And that's why sometimes when you see a reverse merger that seems kind of, you know, like, hey, this isn't high quality, this is just CBD, this da 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 da, the probability of it being a reverse split is so much less because a real company is actually trying to raise real capital. And they can't deal with a bunch of bag holders on a 1.2 billion share trip when they're trying to go to investment banks or real investors and get those investors to buy money. Because why? Because after the reverse split, what's the deal after a reverse split? Right? It's the tippy top of dumping. That's the beginning of dumping. Right? The investors want it after the reverse split. So you know what? You give me 100,000 shares, boom, I'll sell two twos. I'll sell ones. I'll sell 0.5s. I'll sell 0.3s. I'll sell 0.2s, 0.1s, while these morons keep thinking they're picking up a dip until it's flat on its ass again. And now I've recouped my investment in the company, which now has capital to conduct their operations. Right? So a real company, in order to attract real investors, needs to do a reverse split. The question is, when? That's the trade. It's not, will they, and I should sell right now because they're going to do a reverse split. It's when. And as it stands, in the case of ENZC, right now, they've just executed a non-binding LOI. So it's not binding, it's not done, and their news is forward-looking in terms of getting current. Can I see it? Getting current over the course of the year. There's not a lot of year left. The merger isn't done. It's just an LOI. It's non-binding. So there's, until that time, as when it's done or not done, there's a trade on the table here. And it reminds me of Woodbag. If you recall Woodbag, which was formerly, gosh, and we had it so low. I'm trying to remember. NRPI? NHPI, my apologies. NHPI Woodbag. Woodbag, leading up to that merger's being completed, was a run from, on a similar share structure, you know, trip 2, trip 3 to 0.025 until such time as the company finally said, okay, we're doing the merger and we're doing a split. But there was a massive trade in the anticipation there in the case of NHPI becoming Woodbag. that would be missed out if you just decided, yo, they're going to do a reverse split anyways. You know, so what does it all mean for you? Well, if you want to trade hypervolatility, if you want to trade the market of reverse mergers, if you want to have that trips to pennies run, what do? Do you just buy it and blindly hold your position? Do you just drown yourself in DD and close your eyes every night and hope that it doesn't happen? No, what you might do is you might trade it on the 30. That is a strategy that would work, because when that reverse split announcement's coming, the chances are that, you know, you've had so many successful 30 trades leading up to it, and you've done so well at it. If you did get slapped with it after hours, you've done well here. And this is ultimately the life we chose, right? So I hear you, stock addict, and I'm trying to provide a very clear picture as to all the considerations that go into something like this, and the whys and the hows, and
Hey, is it real?
Here's the good news. They are legitimately doing HIV research. ENZC's been doing HIV stuff forever. Here's the good news. ENZC is dark and defunct. It's not SEC delinquent. Therefore, the halt risk is severely limited. Here's the good news. Bioclinetics has been around. They've been trying to do these things. They've got some type of track record. It's real enough. You know, and they've been working on it for 19 years. So there's a lot there. Ultimately, it will most likely end up in a reverse split or no merger at all. But between now and then, the trade, if you're aware and you know what it's going to be, then you can trade it on the 30 and you can consider all these things. Why was it not a day trade for me? Why did I not let go of the whole position on the 5? You want to take a cut at something, it's the freebies on the 30, right? Half out, hopefully near 100%. I got a little greedy, got rid of half at 25 from 11, so I'm a pretty happy camper today. Was able to make some art, you know what I mean? A great day. And if I want to find out how serious they are, I'm going to take a cut at it on the 30. Would I take a cut at it on the 30 if they had not said they're working on filings? No, probably not. But now with them saying, you know, we're going to get these filings out sometime this year, the year's coming to a close, the anticipation's there, the DD is there, it's real enough. So I'm going to work 30s here. In terms of dilution, there's a very good possibility that there'll be more dilution. There's a very good possibility. I mean, these guys even diluted into people pumping it as a COVID play. It wasn't even consensual, and they were diluting into it. So don't think for a moment that they're not going to be diluting. How can I read the dilution? How could I know when the dilution's coming? 30. You know what'll tell you when it's getting too heavy? When it's going to get crushed under its own weight?
Crushed.
30 will price action will tell you. It's a heavy sucker. And a lot of money went into it today. Good news is, most of it went in high. That's the good news. Risk factors, there's a lot. There's a lot. You got almost the whole year of people bagging this, but boy, it cleared off some cobwebs today. So that's ENZC, and that's all things ENZC. I mean, you got to know what you're going into, and you can't be surprised. But the fact that the LOI is non-binding and stuff, it's like a life extension. Stay of execution. Because if it was a done deal, shit, I'd be on split watch right now. I wouldn't have time for this video. I wouldn't have time for this video. Tell you that. I don't have time for it anyways. On my schedule, you wouldn't believe it. You've never seen anything quite like it.
Oh, for sure. For sure, bud.
Yeah, don't worry about it, okay? You don't have to question it. Just take me at face value, please. Why don't you just hear one thing I have to say and, you know? DPWW, I wanted to be as clear about it as I could, because if you're looking at the DPWW chart, this sucks. Okay? And every time it makes a move, it gets shit on instantly. They just shit on it. It's a weed piggy bank where they dump on it, and every single move that it makes gets dumped on. And one of the things that, I'm challenging you to do with your trading is, before you take something, take a look at that daily. Scroll back that 30. Ask yourself the question, how long of a trade is this for me? Now, they had news out today that I felt might have a move in it. And the reason I did, and thank you, Ron, for sending it my way this morning. I was in some type of mood this morning too, so it actually kind of pumped me up. Cookies Retail LLC, and if you don't know Cookies Retail LLC, welcome to the club. Okay. But what I found out about Cookies Retail LLC is it's no, I'm not, but I'm going to sneak in, What you might find out about Cookies Retail LLC is there's a decent amount of locations in California. It's a relatively well-known brand. They have a clothing line. They have all these different things. And so for them to be getting into a situation where they're doing a deal with Cookies, and Cookies is bankrolling them a bit. Cookies? I know actual Cookies quite a bit. More than I should, to be honest with you. What was that? It's a decent enough situation with a known brand on a penny stock that's in dubs. Well, that's exactly it, Jan. And so I thought it was interesting that they put out this news today. It did get loaded last week, and I said, okay, well, I wouldn't mind this, but I need a survival zone again, because they shit on it every time. And the survival zone was about a penny. And I saw it on the ass this morning. I figured I'd give it a rip. Then it becomes a 5 trade for me, obviously. An interesting thing happened with DPWW, though. And it was something that I decided to do. And it was a bit of, and you've heard me talk about 2-wire play, where the news will hit iHub Newswire, and then you'll buy it and hope that it hits PR Newswire and hits Scans and hits Schwab. My broker, no, nothing hits it. My orders barely even hit it. And in the 8K, what I actually found interesting about it more than anything was copy of press release dated September 16th, 2020. Now on DPWW, that 8K came out 4:25 a.m. And when I did some search on the OTC Markets profile page and everywhere else, when the market opened, I noticed that they had not actually released the news at all. And so this 8K might have been an opportunity for me to get in ahead of news, lazy ass news slappers. Because the news is basically that they're going to dilute. Right? What is converting debt into equity but dilution? But On this share structure, 116 million on a weed thing. I figured they're thinking about this Congress thing. People have heard of cookies. If I could get it in the safety zone 0.01 and wait and see if they release that PR today, which they were slated to as per the for immediate release. Well, it's September 16th. Where's it at? So I waited for it. And you know what? That 5 never broke anyways. So it was a 5 trade regardless, and I was able to make it a trade for 70% gain with notable amount of size. Now, I said it twice. When CFGN returns, they're going to shit on it. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. And unfortunately, with some of these stocks, I wish that I could say to you, hey, there's a perfect exact formula for each and every one. But, some of them are getting dumped on by CFGN. Some of them are getting dumped on by retail market makers, Knight, and all these different things. And so part of your job and part of what you're doing in surviving for so long is learning which is which one gets shit on. And I know that DPWW plays the old, CFGN gone game to trap you and then dumps into you. That's what it does. And so with CFGN not there, I figured I'll trade it on the 5, see how long until CFGN comes back, and when CFGN returns, I'll pull it. And if it wants to continue after that, it's on level 2. It's one of the market makers on level 2. Unfortunately, it's a level 2 situation. And when CFGN returns, I'll pull it. And if they want to continue, fine. What am I going to do if they want to continue? Here's the return of CFGN. What am I going to do if they want to continue? And this is where everyone's always so, I'm afraid to sell it because I could miss it. Okay? Okay, selling something is not, you can go back. You can go back. It's not like killing your mother. I'm afraid I'll miss it. What if, after CFGN returns on the 5, it re-breaks that resistance with candle body? Then you'd say, you know what? They're bringing enough heat to it that they can overwhelm CFGN today. See, your mindset used to be, what if I sell it and it continues? And that's the mindset of someone that can't put together a trade, that has no idea about candle body resistance, that doesn't understand share structure, that doesn't understand catalyst, that can't see dilution on a chart, that can't trade it on the 30, that can't use indicators, and doesn't understand shit. That's the old you. That's the old me. Loser. What's going to happen? Take a look. The news was dilution. It was weed. It's a 5 trade. CFGN comes back. I'll cut it and draw a line, baby. All day long. A PERT was a bit of a deep cut today. And I mentioned it a few times yesterday. And even though I was in hell, which I very much was, I thought the DD was compelling on PERT. I thought it was interesting. Excuse me. It's not COVID, okay? I thought it was compelling and interesting DD. And it got alerted today because a custodian showed up on it, Paul Moody. And Paul Moody showed as the officer on the SOS on PERT overnight, And Paul Moody, if you don't know, is a custodian that has moved Cavill. It took 2 years, Cavill, but ultimately moved Cavill. Paul Moody was also a custodian that was alerted on IALS the other day, which led to a very nice move. Ultimately, this was the move here. That was the reinstatement. This was the sir, please. Okay. I'll let the guys at ENZC decide if it's COVID. How about that? They saw that Paul Moody was the custodian in the case of IALS, and then it was a big alert because it could become Cavill, and they alerted it up to from basically dubs to 0.05 in a day, and something happened. They disappeared, and what you had on PERT was two crowds. The first crowd was our crowd, the DD crowd, who's wondering if it's Middle Eastern hotel play. On the other crowd is buying it because it's a Paul Moody custodianship. An exceptional move today, and on good dollar volume. I mean, shockingly good. And seriously shocked. I figured I would be baggy on another liquid piece of shit. I was grasping at straws, but it worked out, thank God. And but now my question is this: if half of this audience is the Paul Moody audience, and the other half of the audience, check this out, and this is why I mentioned it yesterday. The other half of the audience is our Middle Eastern hotel chain DD clan. Here's how far Middle Eastern hotel DD took it. This might have been how far Paul Moody DD took it. Paul Moody DD led to a 50% kick in the sack literally the next day. So can I look forward to the Paul Moody buyers to be in it tomorrow? Or were all the buyers the Middle Eastern website buyers? We don't get to know. But I decided to make a trade on it today because I wondered if the Paul Moody buyers who've experienced what a Paul Moody pump can do, I wonder if they want to be there tomorrow based on their past experiences. So I made a trade on it. Now I'm absolutely looking to be wrong, but I flipped a coin on it. Basically, I gave myself two scenarios, completely reasonable. Was this volume Middle Eastern hotel, or was this volume Paul Moody? If this volume is Paul Moody, I might get kicked in the sack 50%. If this volume is Middle Eastern hotel buyers, how much more will they want tomorrow? And will I be subjected to a day like yesterday with no price action? And these are the situations where you kind of want to pay attention to social media and stuff like that to see what they're saying. And I was interested to see what they were saying about PERT. Were they all collectively excited about this website, or was it about something else? And it was about this Paul Moody thing. So I'll be very interested to see what comes tomorrow. I made a choice, and that was my choice. VNUE is what I hoped Gamer GMER would be. Was people would get a sniff of the company, they'd get an understanding of what they're all about. And now that the broker restrictions are lifted, which happened on VNUE September 9th, people got a whiff of it, and they kept coming after it. And today the fellow came out with a song, I guess, on some local news, and it was a pretty sad-ass song, to be honest with you. And the music video wasn't fair. Like, they were making that girl seem like this poor, lonely girl. She didn't look like she's very lonely to me. I got to be honest with you. but they're not diluting. The share structure's there. As we know, on the 9th, they cleared almost the entire float. So thank you, Deem and Sniper Trades, for mentioning it this morning in DM. This 30's crossing, and I looked at it and I said, they haven't diluted. They're not dumping. They're not dumping on it. It's held up exceptionally well. My target was 14, as you know, and if you watch the videos, you might have grabbed some. And that 30 cross, and they went for it. And they're not diluting. And will it become another arson situation? It could. How will you ever find out? 30 will tell you the answer to that. So congratulations on an exceptional trade, and what is actually a pretty decent company. They like that CEO. He's not dumping on it. It's not bad. It's not bad. PGAS was a disappointment for me today, and I think the truth of the matter was, whatever this is, they got to stop buying, okay, because that's not working out. I picked it up off the trend line on a 30 cross, and it created an okay trade today. Not much continuation. I mean, and you had to be and not much liquidity. You had to be a real sniper, if you will, to get out with any green, and I didn't. It was just ultimately a flat trade for me, but it's still working its way up this trend line, and this 30 is still alive. And if it wants to diverge and re-break my 42 tomorrow, I'm there. And you know what? They came after it again end of day, and I'm not seeing the selling. It's heavier than it was, yeah, but I'm not seeing the selling. And if it wants to re-break and hold it for in an hour into the day, it's still above this line, and I get a divergence here, absolutely. But I don't piss around with broken 30s. So a little bit of a disappointment there. But like I said, this PGAS setup is top class. A 50 million AS. It's just a very good setup, and there is a legitimate business there, which could begin to get into news and things like that. So not a successful trade, but also not a failure, really. Just kind of a zero-sum game, not a kick in the sack, if you will. But I really hope for more. And then it was like the world just got lit on fire. Like everything was just rocking and rolling, and people ask themselves a question, why do I need PGAS right now? I don't know. Be sure to check the recap channel for my information on FPVD. People were wondering why they did a reinstatement after getting filings out, and the reason is they're SEC reporting. So the SEC does not care if you are SOS active or inactive. That's a prerequisite for pink-only filings, not SEC filings. So you can still report to the SEC even though you aren't paid up in your state. Now, when you want to make material change, check this out. When you want to make material changes to your ticker, such as a reverse split, then you got to get active with your state. And FPVD people got to view that reverse split amendment from 2018 in the Florida SOS today. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people asking themselves the question, why the rush to reinstate? And maybe this is the reason that FINRA did not approve their reverse split. And now that they're all paid up and up to date, maybe they will. I don't know. Will I be there to find out? Nope. No siree.
Whoa, a big run. Big run.
No siree. $2.8 million, not playing around. But it's not light. It needs that much juice all the time. And guess what? When it's double this price, it's going to need $5 million to move. So you better hope they love it. And you better focus on that 30. I'll tell you that. Beautiful. I'm not going to say I knew. And nope. 400 grand for 80%. I mean, if you ever wanted evidence they're not diluting, I mean, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Keep looking around here and we'll see.
Know any good chats?
No, I don't. Hank had news out today, and this news we'll ask the question. SSOF, they keep saying it's a mover, it's not, and they keep saying it's thin, it isn't. Will it ever have its day in the sun? I can't say. I can't say. NWBO, Jeff, well done on this 30, and you know that. I mean, this thing is liquid. It's got big money coming in. They love it. They're going for it. And my God, you know, I mean, you mentioned that 30 a couple days ago, and I felt bored by it. And even yesterday, I thought, you know, like a little move, whatever. And then boom, today, just right out of the gate, a nice grab. And you know, it just goes to show they just love this thing. What do I expect out of it now? Again, I don't know. GLCO. If you're curious about it, it was a website pump.
Bag.
It's not a bag. Come on. Oh, fuck me.
Whew, cold zone.
You know what?
Bag.
You were right. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Bag.
I mean, there it is, though. Life clips going current, FPVD going current. Then they like FPVD, but not life clips. What are you going to do? Life clips is thinner, too. Goff is a great custodianship. You'd have to look for classic signs of a merger there. Good setup. Mansfelder Metals turned out to be a custodianship, so people were downloading those documents in Delaware and stuff like that. And with custodianships, you would be stunned as to how I don't have to. I don't have to. Arson, a little bounce there. Arson blew it. People are saying, hey, man, Arson was hot. Arson was cool. Why don't you like Arson now? Here's the problem. Okay? Arson didn't keep the heat up. Okay, when you want to see these lines here, when you want to keep moving a billion share floater, you got to keep the heat up, right? These levels, whether it's with their news or their pumping or their tweets or whatever, need to be maintained, because when they start selling below it, the amount of resistance, the amount of energy it takes to push it back up is so much. You know, so if you want to move a fat ass, you got to keep that ball rolling. If the ball stops, now you're fighting all that resistance. You're fighting a billion shares worth of resistance. That's good money, not a great outcome. Billion share resistance. Okay, you got to keep those levels. And that's why I draw those lines, because it's going to take a hell of an effort to get it back over. Nope. No. This is the weirdest situation. It's still QB current somehow. They're still doing this bankruptcy somehow, but they're not putting the Q up. There's all sorts of BS going on, and why don't they run it? Well, I think they're nervous about it, and I was interested in it due to the fact that there wasn't a plan in place with regard to share cancellation or anything like that, but a lot of controversy started swirling around at VCBD, and people are nervous about holding it. NMGC look for filings on that. They've actually got a decent business there. South American Amazon. Is it as good? I don't know. With things in other countries that aren't North American, like what they think,
Hey, is it real?
it's like a different, like their TV shows and their websites and shit. Like it doesn't resonate with me. Like I don't know if it's legit or polished or not, because it's from a different place. Like I don't know if they see. So like Neo Magico, like if you look at it, they've got technically, they say South American Amazon, but I mean that website looks brutal. But I don't know, like maybe they like those fonts and shit. I don't know. I don't like those fonts though. A lot of these biotechs, they're saying COVID. A lot of F-stock biotechs are saying COVID, and you're in biotech hell. So what I like to do to try and speed it up is just look back at the news and see how many times they've talked about COVID. And it seems like they've been talking about COVID all spring and summer. AGNPF, is it on a good trend? No. 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 Cross on the daily might be okay. I don't care about that. Caveat emptor presents a liquidity penalty for a lot of brokers, and also in the hearts and minds of people. That skull and crossbone really freaks people out. So I stay away from them, not because I have a moral issue with them, but because of the fact that there's a liquidity penalty. Fidelity, a few other brokers, you can't even trade the shit. I think Schwab, you can't even trade a caveat emptor. And then add to that the people who see it's a caveat emptor and they don't want to, and look at NIHK today. NIHK they're doing everything they can to let you know, we're filing with the SEC. We have removed the offering and stuff like that, and you've had an illiquid baby run, kind of dub 5 to dub 9 over the course of a whole month and a half. You got to get that CE off. RNWF, it didn't move until they got the CE off, and then it was in play. Hank did a reverse merger, one of my best trades of the year, and it became CBD, and now they've got black box. Weed shit. Just a ton of resistance there, Hank. I mean, if you remember when we were trading it here on this trade from really dubs to 0.4, it was pulling like $6-7 million days. That's not going to cut it. It's just not. I don't know that. I don't like it already though. Hemp sweetener. Listen, beat Splenda. Tell me that it's better than Splenda and I'll look at it. I don't have to. I'm eating sugar all the time, but I also like Splenda. I don't care about this. I'm eating Splenda all the time, sugar all the time, and WBO, great trade on that. Quick filing watch, and we'll shut her down. Oh, KNRLF is the other one I took today, and I took it at the end of the day on the 30 cross. And the reason I did is because it's the age of value, and their technology was legitimately good. They have a machine that's going to measure the air for flying COVID. And as you know, if you're going to catch COVID, it's in the air. And they can put the machine in a room, and the machine's going to analyze the air and see if there's COVID floating around in the room, which makes for a really brilliant, novel technology. I've been frustrated because I've never had a shot at it. I've always felt it was too high. And finally, after a move to almost $6, I'm getting a 30 cross at 324, and I'm going to give it a shot. F-stocks, it's just nasty how they dump on you from other countries, other places. They're very stressful. And, and you're seeing that in HNCLF, where HNCKLF, where they're crushing it with dumping, and just a guy in Vancouver is destroying it, so it's a tough situation. PPCB, a pending reverse split. This is the OG of mega bouncers, as you know, but there's a pending reverse split there. I mean, maybe they don't care about it. I would love for them to hit me over the head with saying they don't want to do a reverse split right now. Tomy is a funny one, this thing. Like next to ACRL, I think that Tomy bag holders are some of the most committed. Like Tomy bag holders are really something else with regard to their excitement about Tomy and their keenness on it. Here's the question, Cannell. We got a load of filings September, but there were also a load of filings February. So what I'm gonna do right now is just two quick things to find out. You ready? This one trick. Cannell, did anyone care about it in February? No, they sure as shit didn't. I'll go to the latest quarterly report. Is there any information about a change of control or anything like that? No. Check another one just for fun. Change of control? No. So I got to ask myself the question, do I care to even read any further based on this daily and the lack of a change? This is horrifying. Tomy bag holders are some of they're committed. They stand by their Tomy boy, and no matter what. Last summer, I was shocked by the move, and I got ultimately proven really wrong. But they've been dumping on it ever since, and now there's some filings coming out, and you're gonna, in your world, wherever your world, my world's here. Okay, there's gonna be people in your sphere, in your ear, Tomy. Trust me, you don't have to. WHSI, here's the problem. WHSI has a reverse merger BOA pin, and everyone is going to BOA pin every day. There's just a few websites everyone goes to: Amazon, Google, BOA pin, and the website doesn't work. Furthermore, WHSI has broker issues. TDA can't buy it, and it's a blockchain technology, and people are saying, hey, what's the big deal with blockchain? Well, here's the big deal with blockchain. Blockchain trading platforms just the other day had news come out. How did that go? So WHSI don't have to, even though it looks like a prototypical reverse merger. So I hope you have a wonderful night. If you need something, I'm around. I'm available. If you're new to the scene, welcome to
Heat Zone.
And I'm in touch. Okay, I'm here. Just reach out to me on the Discord. I have time. Okay, I talk about my schedule. It's really not that busy. I just made this picture today. Okay, so if you need help with something, you want clarity on something, please reach out. I'm on the Discord in the voice for a few minutes if you'd like to talk turkey. And otherwise...
Hey, is it real?
Come on. We'll see you in the morning.